Welcome back to the show. One of Hollywood's most acclaimed actresses is eating up her latest role. Two-time Oscar winner Meryl Streep dons an apron and pearls for her portrayal of iconic chef Julia Child in Julie and Julia. And recently, our executive producer Christina Vondre sat down with her and the rest of the cast at the beautiful farm at Stone Barns in New York State to find out more. Let's take a look.
Why don't I go to cooking school? Bonjour!
One woman's journey becomes another's inspiration in the new film, Julie and Julia.
The Julie/Julia Project. I cook my way through Julia Child's cookbook. 365 days, 524 recipes.
The talented Meryl Streep plays the famed French chef, and Amy Adams is the blogger who spends a year emulating Child's cooking.
You said that you wanted to create Julia not necessarily as the impersonation of Julia, but as Julie would see Julia. Explain that to me.
Well, I think, when you read a book, you imagine the author, the person that's talking to you, especially nonfiction book. You sort of enter that person's head in a certain way, and you think you know them. And you think they're telling just you this stuff. They've never told anyone. And I think Julie Powell took heart from the tone and tenor of the advice and how to cook in Julia Child's book. So I think she imagined a Julia. I know I imagined a Julia.
Bon appetit!
I love that idea because I used to imagine Julia when I cooked with her.
Writer-director Nora Ephron has nothing but high praise for Streep's portrayal.
I think that Meryl believed, and she was absolutely right, that we weren't doing the Julia Child that Julia Child became. It was sort of before she became that person.
When you flip anything, you've just got to have the courage of your convictions, especially if it's a loose sort of mass, like, oh, that didn't go very well.
Streep did get a chance to meet her on-screen counterpart years ago, even though it didn't go necessarily as planned.
When I was a young mother, I was starting an organization called Mothers and Others, which was concerned with, this is in the late 80s, trying to make organic and sustainably grown food available in supermarkets. And now it is. You can thank me, because I killed myself for 10 years trying to get that done. And I enlisted her help, among many other prominent people. And she turned me down so flat.
Don't be afraid.
No fear, Julia.
Unlike Streep, Adams didn't get a chance to chat with her real-life alter ego before filming began.
I was just coming off doubt when we started into rehearsals for this and didn't get a chance to meet Julie. So I really relied on Nora's meetings with her and the pages and pages and pages of material through not only her book but her blog, and sort of feeling her energy. Throw them into the water and put the lid on, and that will be that.
While Adams had to learn how to make some pretty amazing dishes on set, including lobster, the former Chanhassen Dinner Theater actress says nothing compares to the food she enjoyed during her time here in Minnesota.
I love the State Fair so much.
What was your favorite food at the fair?
You can't just have a favorite food, because you got to start with the mini donuts. Right. You got to get to the fair early, get your coffee and your mini donuts, and then about an hour later, you get a Jiffy Pop. Then it kind of depends if you like fried cheese curds. You got to move on to those fried cheese curds.
Couldn't I find something to do?
What is it that you really like to do?
Eat.
And you're so good at it. Look at you. Now, how
Growing
good
in
you are.
front of you.
The food isn't the only co-star sharing screen time with Streep and Adams. Streep reunites with her Devil Wears Prada alum, Stanley Tucci.
We're very fond of each other, and we've become very good friends. And I admire her so much. I don't know what makes it work. We just haven't. We feel comfortable with each other, and we both share a cheap sense of humor.
When you do a kissing scene with her, as friends, do you have to have a little moment where you just laugh it out first and then you can do it?
Without question. Oh yeah, you laugh before and afterward. Yeah.
If you met me, would you think that woman is lost?
I would think that woman is strangely repetitive.
And playing opposite Adams as her hubby, actor Chris Messina.
Amy and I, we would play around. That scene with the cake, that was all improvised. It was our last day of shooting, and we just were we were celebrating a great time and also so tired of eating that we were just like, I'm going to shove it all over you. Yeah.
This is good.
That is good.
This film is certainly a celebration of food, but it's also about following your passion, a sentiment that Streep shares with her character.
I was brought up by parents who said you can do anything you set your mind to. So why don't you try it, you know? And there's a spirit of Julia Child that is very similar to my mother's own. Come on.
Do it.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many expressions. None of them are family friendly. Oh my.
You have no real talent for cooking.
Julie and Julia, starring Meryl Streep and Amy Adams, opens in theaters nationwide tomorrow, Friday, August 7th. Still ahead, comparing generics to brand names. Cub pharmacist Doug White is back to give us some advice. And later, a powerful musical about the legendary Ella Fitzgerald. More on the Guthrie's production of Ella when we come back. Stick around. In today's Ask the Pharmacist, stretching your healthcare dollars. A great way to stay within your budget could be as simple as switching to generic medications. Cub pharmacist Doug White is here to explain. Welcome back, Doug.
Good morning.
Yes, he is the pharmacy Svengali here. We worship every word that you tell us, because especially you're here to save us money. You got our attention. How?
I'm here to save you money.
Wow, that is a heavy. I'm in the wrong line of work.
Well, if you do it, you can have more money in your pocket if you
right.
do this correctly.
Okay, how do you save money?
Well, it's the generic versus brand program, okay? Brand names come out, they're patent protected, they get a lot of time to recover research and development.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they go off patent, the other companies have the right to make them, and therefore they can do it much cheaper.
Okay, so they can make them cheaper. What are some of the things to consider if you go to your pharmacist or your doctor and they offer you the choice of generic? Some questions you should ask, and the doctor should know before he prescribes generic.
Well, the great source is which generic and which one would be right for you, and make sure that the brand is available in a generic. Not all of them are.
Okay.
The good news is next year 80 products will lose their patent. So there's going to be a whole flood of generics coming on the market.
Why is that?
Absolutely. It's the timing of the medication and
the contract wears out?
Yeah, the contract wears
expires.
out. So
all right, let's get back to saving money here, because this is shocking. You kind of let the cat out of the bag here. You were going to surprise me with this, and I saw some numbers here. These are numbers we're talking about for these drugs here. Show the folks how much they can save when buying these drugs.
I kind of started this way. There's a ACE inhibitor popular for blood pressure called Zestril.
Okay, that's this one.
This one, and then lisinopril is the generic. If you were to pay retail for the brand name product, for 90 tablets would be $162. Okay, $10 for the generic for the.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That one's okay. That's quite. But how about this one? This is even more shocking.
So Lexa, one of the most popular antidepressants on the market. Same type thing. Citalopram's a generic. If you were to pay retail, $348 versus $10.
Okay, we're getting warmer. Now here's the big one.
Okay, here we go. Prozac, one of the most popular on the market for years for depression. Fluoxetine is the generic. If you were to pay retail, this is retail now, for a 90-day supply would be $555. Generic, $10.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Why would anyone spend $550 for this medication when you can get it for $10?
It is very, very rare that would ever happen, but some people are so brand name orientated, they just refuse to switch to a generic. Then it becomes our job as a pharmacist to tell them that don't worry, the active ingredient's the same, it's safe for you, it's been proven safe over all these years. There is really absolutely no reason to pay that price.
Okay.
Now HMOs will pay for most everything, so you may get the brand name in a higher copayment. It might be $40 versus
instead 10 or
4
5
or
10.
6
Okay.
or whatever. Okay. But
I got to change insurance. If you're talking 4 or 6 hours, it's 10.
Well, that's one of the reasons today. We're here to tell you that you can save money.
All right. These are your prescription drugs. Let's move on a little bit here. And here's some generic versus brand name.
It's not as drastic in savings, okay? You got Tylenol for $8.99 versus acetaminophen for $3.99. But if you buy this and you use a lot of it over time, you can save $5, okay?
And this is the Cub, the Equiline. I buy that. I mean, it works just fine.
That's ours. And same thing with Advil or ibuprofen, a savings of $5, $6 per bottle there. Aleve.
Well, that you say that's not that much. Yes, it is. You could, for the price of one, you could buy 2 of these.
You can.
Stock up. Why
and
not?
if you're a regular user of these, you're going to save money. And Excedrin for headaches and headache formula. But I want to tell people too is it can be confusing. That's why I want you to ask your pharmacist the generic names. It just may say headache formula.
Okay.
You don't know exactly that it's the equivalent to that, and so on and so on and so on.
Okay.
So you need to come to the pharmacist and say, all right, what's the equivalent? And we will take them through the process. Make sure that it's safe for them.
So read labels, ask questions, basically. That's what I do when I go to the Cub Pharmacy. I'll go up to the desk and say, "Hey, here are my symptoms. What do you got in a generic?" And they're very helpful.
It's the smartest thing to do, and we are there. We will take time to talk to you. We'll talk about your health. Are you doing it right? Is it the right medication? And then we can talk about saving you money.
And you're qualified to answer those questions.
Absolutely. We can put a lot of money back in your pocket.
All right. How do you know that? See,
before you get it.
How do you know if a generic drug is available over the name brand?
Well, you basically come and ask your pharmacist, because they save money by they don't market the product. You don't see advertising for generics. They save all that money and they wrap it into just the cost in the manufacturing. So you come to us.
Okay.
And your HMO will put it out there.
I don't want to paint a crooked picture of doctors out there, but are any of them, do they make more money if they sell the name brand? I mean,
Oh, I refuse to answer that one.
Okay.
Some things that it's just
okay, but
it's a joke. They were influenced, not as much anymore.
Okay.
Salespeople would do their best to get them brand name
so
oriented.
if you want to save money, ask your doctor. Ask